The story of the first Americans goes as far back as 200,000 years ago, when Homo sapiens first evolved in eastern Africa. The Out of Africa theory is a model that explains that these first modern humans traveled from Africa into Europe and Asia by land. Now, how does this even relate to the Americas? Well, some of these early men made their way to the Bering Strait, where a land bridge connected modern-day Russia and Alaska. From there, these early humans trekked downward, settling in places where they found comfort and food until the southern peak of South America. Most of these natives were concentrated in the Mesoamerican region, where famous ancient civilizations like the Incas, the Aztecs, and the Mayans used to prosper. The rest, north of Mexico, lived more mixed lifestyles, some nomadic and others settled, like the Iroquois Confederacy or the Six Nation tribe, which consisted of 6 different groups of natives under one form of government. This longest living democratic society would serve as an inspiration for many democracy pioneers such as John Locke. There are 3 main motives for European exploration, and are often called the 3 Gs: God, gold, and glory. God refers to the European desire to spread Christianity, characterized in part by the competition between Catholicism and Protestantism, along with the rivalry with Islam. Gold refers to the desire for materialistic gains such as spices, slaves, and so much more that Europe could not find in their backyards. In response to the Silk Road blockade, Prince Henry the Navigator initiated the Age of Exploration by being one of the first to fund expeditions to find water routes to Asia. Finally, glory refers to the competition between the European nations to have the most power, essentially by claiming more land. Columbus would be one of the first to counter the New World in 1492, unknowingly landing in the Bahamas on his trek to India. There he would claim Hispaniola, establishing grounds for Spanish expansion into Central America. Although his voyage failed, he did create the first permanent interaction between people from all over the globe with the Columbian Exchange, in which plants, animals, slaves, and disease were transported from the Old World to the New World, and vice versa. After the Treaty of Tordesillas, the Spanish wanted to waste no time sending conquistadors, Spanish explorers who would conquer and claim land for the empire, to America. Arguably the most famous, Hernan Cortez, was known for leading an expedition conquering the Tenochtitlan capital of the Aztecs in 1521, establishing New Spain. Bet he felt really good after that one, huh? As for Northern America, Spanish settlers established the oldest city in the US at St. Augustine in Florida in 1565. Seeing Spain prosper so much that they implemented an encomienda system inspired other nations. The English explorer Sir Walter Raleigh attempted to colonize Roanoke, the lost colony, in 1585, which mysteriously disappeared a few years later. The majority of the English colonization would start with the establishment of Jamestown in 1607. The French also started showing interest, establishing a settlement in Quebec in 1608 with the help of Samuel de Champlain, dubbed Father of New France. And with the help of Henry Hudson, the Netherlands found New Amsterdam by the Hudson River in 1624. For the most part, the natives posed no real threat to the better equipped Europeans, so they were nothing but an inferior nuisance. Also, most of them were killed off by European diseases like smallpox, which was the #1 cause of death. The Spanish used Indians and slaves for forced labor. The greedy Englishmen would instead exile them from their land. The French, on the other hand, saw the natives as allies. Fighting for the natives was Spanish priest Bartolomé de las Casas, who pushed for the new laws of 1542, which would attempt to end Indian forced labor. In the end, Native American lives changed drastically, from diversifying power dynamics to mixing cultures. Their life was never the same after 1492. To summarize, the Europeans were not the first people in North America. The Indians made their way long before Columbus or anyone else. Later, the 3 Gs, God, Gold, and Glory, would contribute to the increasing interest of European nations to find trade routes and settle in the New World. The Spanish led the efforts by colonizing the Mesoamerican region, followed by other European nations. The Indians would unfortunately be heavily impacted by the oncoming diseases and lifestyle changes. So whether you still think Christopher Columbus was a good guy or not is up to you. The key point to remember is that the accidental landfall of Columbus in the Bahamas in fact connected and changed the world economically and socially forever.